Okay, I'm warning you. This might sound funny and completely bogus, but imagine a world where everyone is tight knit with their neighbors. Imagine a united Korean estate where DMZ is an old joke because militaries are meaningless. Or imagine a South Asian Union where India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh have open borders and profitable trade relations.
Pakistan spends 16% of its budget on the military, while only 2.5% of that budget on education. South Korea spends 10% of its budget on the military, while 15% of all South Koreans live under the poverty line. A similar situation can be seen all over the globe. If so many countries are spending so much money on the military, there must be a good reason to do so, right? Recent studies show support for the negative impacts of military spending on economic growth. A tainted relationship with neighbors forces countries to spend a huge chunk of their budget on defense. For example, Pakistan neighboring India and Afghanistan, South Korea neighboring North Korea and Japan, Iran neighboring Iraq. This spending, as reflected too often by history, doesn't lead to anything good. Relying on treaties and open discussions instead could lead to a military budget cut that just might change the direction of where a country is headed. Any educated individual can understand that war leads to unnecessary suffering, and every million spent on it could be spent on something that is far more productive and doesn't take away opportunities from a society. Maybe instead of blindly accepting the budget for defense, we should ask, who is this enemy that we need to be defended from? You are probably home right now with your little pet dog, laying on the couch, trying to relax the busy day away, stressing about your upcoming exam or assignment. But these descriptions don't just define you and your friends, but also young individuals on the other side of the border. While you might care about what happens at the border, you most likely care more about the things that affect you personally. Are the roads you use being maintained? Is public transport usable? Do you have access to green spaces? The real question to ask is whether your taxes make your life easier and more convenient. Why would any person with empathy prefer their money being spent on bombing children across the border than having it be spent on solving problems in their own country together? But how do we ensure that countries prioritize their progress over wars? How do we build a relationship with our neighbors based on healthy competition and build bridges to work on issues that both countries face together? Now, you might say that answers to these problems require big institutions and treaties that people trust, but you, as an individual, hold no power. 8 decades ago, my grandma was lucky enough to flee across the border from India to the newly made state of Pakistan. 2 million people were not so lucky. Some parts of it were militarized conflict, but mostly it was just the cruelty of regular people on both sides of the border. If people are capable of that much destruction, then they are more than capable of having power to make a difference for the better. Here are 3 things that you can do today. Getting educated. Having knowledge about issues is a good place to start solving them. Vote. It is your right, but also your responsibility. Voice your opinions and be an active citizen. Imagine how big of a difference it would make if we all decided to make use of the power that we already have.